What's up YouTube, KidMoto22 here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the 3 motorcycles Harley is eliminating from their lineup for 2022. So let's get to that right now. Welcome back guys, KidMoto22 here, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about the 3 motorcycles we know that Harley's eliminating from their lineup for 2022. You know, this has kind of been a theme of theirs for the last few years, and I think pretty much throughout their history, they usually give bikes a 3 to 5 year run. If they're good sellers or they really ignite the marketplace, they keep them longer. But a lot of times, this is their recycling of their product line. We've seen this for a long time. Bikes like the Crossbones, the Night Train, they have a limited run and then they're gone. So the 3 bikes that we're going to talk about are the Iron 1200, the Softtail Slim, and the Sport Glide. So first, let's start with the Iron 1200. The Iron 1200, this elimination, this really makes sense to me. It is a bike that I think has served its purpose, it's served its time. While the Sportster lineup is really beloved by a lot of people, I myself, my first Harley-Davidson was a Nightster, which is also in the 1200 series bikes. This bike has served its purpose. The Evo motor is old, it's being phased out, it doesn't match the EU emission standards, and so they really have to start phasing out all of these bikes completely, including the 883 and that lineup. I think you're going to see them all disappearing very shortly. I would guess in the next 2 to 3 years they're going to be gone. The 1200, you know, with the Sportster S coming out kind of in the same displacement line. Now the Sportster S is a much better bike than the 1200, just in terms of performance and tech and all the things that it has. The 1200 is just not a bike that I think a lot of people are looking to anymore. In that price range, you're closer to probably the Street Bob 114. You know, if you're looking for the Sportster size of bike, the Street Bob 114 is just gonna fit the bill for you. It's a larger engine, it still has a smaller tank, still a smaller bike, but a much bigger motor, and just more things I think that appeal to the newer generation, and it has the Milwaukee 8 motor. So that's kind of the reason I think that they're really phasing out that bike. The second one is the Softtail Slim. I myself have never really been a huge fan of the Softtail Slim. I think it has some features about it that fall in the classic line of Harley, but then some things to me that don't make sense. So for a small bike with no saddlebags, I shouldn't say a small bike because the engine displacement is in the same lineup as some of their bigger cruisers. However, it doesn't have bags, it doesn't have a sissy bar, but it does have foot pads. So it kind of fits into that cruiser lineup in terms of like a distance cruiser. It has the bigger tires. It really reminds me of, I had a Kawasaki Vulcan 800. If you would have put boards on that bike, those 2 bikes would have been very similar with the size of the headlight, some of those things that kind of fall in line. Again, it's a real classic style bike, but it just doesn't seem to fit anymore with the direction that Harley's going in, and I think that's probably why they're eliminating this bike. It's kind of a stepchild of some bikes that they've kind of pieced together to make a classic looking bike, but it doesn't really have a fit in the lineup anymore. So there you go, Softtail Slim, that bike's going. The last one, while I'm surprised and not surprised, I think we're going to see this bike used a different way, okay? So we see the last one is the Sport Glide. The Sport Glide is the one that's going away as the 3rd bike. Now, if you saw my last video, and I'll put a link up to it right here, I talk about them making kind of a baby bagger out of the Lowrider S with the full fairing and Sport Glide bags. So I think the reason why the Sport Glide is going is that the Sport Glide has a mini fairing and the Sport Glide bags. I think that you're going to see many of the components kind of cross over, right? So while the Sport Glide has the inverted front forks and the bags, I think you're going to see the bags used on the Lowrider S frame or engine setup and bike setup with that full fairing. So you're going to see some of those parts and some of the design features from the Sport Glide move over to this Lowrider S, this bagger that I told you guys about. And if that's the case, there's really no reason to have both of these bikes in the lineup. It's kind of a redundancy. And honestly, the full fairing Lowrider S style is just going to sell a lot better. While the Sport Glide has been a big seller in Europe, it's never been super popular here. You don't really see a lot of them on the streets. But again, I've not really seen a lot of them in dealerships either. And when you talk to the dealers, they typically say they don't last very long. I think part of the reason is there are people buying that bike and then they strip everything off it and make it into something different. So they put maybe an FXRT fairing on it, they put T-bars, they paint the bags. Before you know it, it's a Sport Glide, but it looks nothing like it. And so people aren't really identifying it with being a Sport Glide anymore. So that's probably the reason why you're going to see that one go. I think it would just be a redundancy to keep the Sport Glide and the new Lowrider S with a full fairing in the lineup at the same time. So there you go. That's what I have for you guys today on the 3 bikes that you're going to see disappearing in 2022. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the 3 bikes, and if there's some different ones that you think that should have gone, may or may not go in the next lineup. I think that we're also going to see some adjustments happening maybe in the Road King lineup. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, this is all I have for you guys today. And if you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. I'll put a link to another video up over here that you guys might like. And that's all I have for you guys today. This is Kid Moto. I'm out.